14th October 1943, over central Germany. At 10:03 in the morning, the sky above the German heartland was clear enough to deceive a man. From altitude, the fields below looked orderly and harmless, divided by hedgerows and roads that seemed too small to matter. At 26,000 feet, the air was thin, brutally cold, and bright. Sunlight bounced off aluminum skins and plexiglass noses, dazzling the eyes of men who had already been awake for more than 6 hours. The formation stretched for miles, box upon box of heavy bombers, each one vibrating with engine noise and tension. This was the deepest penetration yet attempted by American daylight bombers without long-range fighter escort. The destination lay more than 400 miles from the English coast. The target was the ball-bearing factories at Schweinfurt, a node in the German war economy whose destruction had been debated, postponed, and argued over for months. Inside one of those aircraft, a Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, 10 men waited in their assigned positions, surrounded by machinery that could keep them alive or kill them without warning. Inside one of those aircraft, a Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, 10 men waited in their assigned positions, surrounded by machinery that could keep them alive or kill them without warning. The B-17 had acquired an ugly nickname among its own crews, the Flying Coffin. It was not official, but it was common. It came from the way the aircraft flew straight and level for long minutes at a time, from the way flak bursts seemed to bracket it deliberately, from the knowledge that if fighters broke through the formation, there would be nowhere to hide. There were no ejection seats. Parachutes were worn, not built in. If the aircraft caught fire or lost a wing, survival depended on seconds and luck. And yet the men kept climbing into it. The B-17 was not sleek. It was not fast by fighter standards. Its maximum speed barely exceeded 290 miles per hour, and when loaded with bombs and fuel, it cruised far slower. What it had instead was endurance, altitude, and guns, 13 of them in later variants, 50 caliber. Machine guns placed in the nose, the waist, the tail, the top turret, the ball turret beneath the belly. The theory was simple and brutal. Massed formations of bombers could defend themselves through overlapping fields of fire. That theory had been mocked by German pilots who believed no bomber could survive sustained fighter attack, and by some Allied airmen who had seen too many aircraft fail to return. On this morning, the theory was about to be tested to its limit. The mission had begun before dawn in eastern England. Engines had started in darkness, one by one, coughing smoke and flame. Briefings had been short and grim. Loss estimates were high. The weather over the target was forecast to be clear, which meant accurate bombing and accurate German defenses. As the bombers crossed the Dutch coast and pushed inland, the first flak appeared. Black puffs bloomed in the sky, timed fuses set to explode at bomber altitude. The shockwaves rocked the aircraft, slamming against fuselages with the force of sledgehammers. Shrapnel tore through aluminum skin, sometimes passing through without hitting anything important, sometimes severing control cables or men. The formation tightened. Aircraft held position with painful precision, wingtips sometimes only yards apart. A single mistake could cause a collision. Falling out of formation was worse. A lone bomber was a dead bomber. Then the fighters arrived. They came in waves. Single-engine interceptors climbing hard from airfields below. Twin-engine heavy fighters carrying cannons designed to break bombers apart. They attacked from ahead, from above, from below. They used head-on passes to reduce exposure to defensive fire, closing at combined speeds that left gunners only seconds to aim. Inside the B-17s, the temperature was well below freezing. Oxygen masks covered faces. Hands stiffened inside gloves. Gunners tracked specks that grew into aircraft, then into crosses painted on wings. Intercom chatter spiked and fell away as men called out directions and ranges. The first attacks tore holes in the formation. Bombers began to trail smoke. One aircraft rolled slowly onto its back and fell away, pieces breaking off as it went. No parachutes were visible, but something else was happening as well. The gunners were firing with a discipline learned through repetition and fear. They waited until fighters were inside effective range. They led targets carefully, compensating for speed and angle. Tracers arced outward, converging, crossing. German pilots who had expected scattered, inaccurate fire found themselves flying into dense curtains of bullets. One fighter burst into flame in front of a bomber's nose and vanished downward. Another lost a wing and disintegrated. A third flew through the formation trailing smoke, its canopy shattered.